Have you ever stayed up way too late at night sometimes and tell yourself, just one more episode until suddenly you realize it's 3 a.m.? That addictive edge of your seat storytelling is what Netflix does best. So imagine if your case studies had that kind of pull. Could your audience actually binge read your success stories? Well, today I'm going to show you exactly how to make that happen. So forget boring corporate white papers. It's all about making your case study feel like it's a can't miss drama. You're listening to the High Conversion Health Marketer Podcast, the show that helps you craft memorable copy and messaging that connects, captivates, and converts. My name is Linda Malone. I'm a certified conversion copywriter, founder of The Copy Works, and an award-winning content writer whose copy lands my clients major contracts on a regular basis. My mission is to help you, the health and fitness marketer, attract your ideal customer with copy they can't resist so that you can grow your business. So here's what you'll learn today. You're going to find out why most case studies don't work and how to flip the script, the storytelling secrets that make Netflix shows irresistible, how to structure case studies that hook readers from start to finish, real-world examples from the health and fitness industry, and a simple storytelling template you can apply right away. So this idea came to me actually this past week. I'm working on a case study for a client, and when I told them that I had done several for a number of different businesses and including a medical device company, the VP of marketing kind of hesitated. He said, "We don't want this to be really corporate. We really want this to be personable and conversation." I said, I got it. I know what their voice is. I've worked with this company before. But the fact that he brought that up made me realize that a lot, white papers and case studies are just seen as this is boring stuff. No one wants to read it. But it doesn't have to be that way. So let's start this conversation with exactly what is a case study anyway. I consider them like testimonials on steroids. So what I mean by that is it's like a deeper behind the scenes look at a transformation. So if you have, say, a client or customer that says, "I really loved your product or service," and they give you a one-sentence testimonial for your website, it saved me a lot of time, and just one thing they say. So a case study would go into the full story behind that. It shows the struggle, it shows the turning point and transformation, and the why behind that transformation. So it also uses a very popular, well-known copywriting formula called PAS, problem, agitation, and solution, but it's expanded out from just that simple formula. So if you've ever used that formula in your copywriting, I use it all the time because it's just easy to remember and it fits a lot of different situations. The case study expands on each step to make it more compelling. So for example, the problem would be the setup. Where'd they start? What was frustrating them? Agitation would be the conflict. What wasn't working? What roadblocks made it even worse? And the solution is the turning point and resolution. How did your offer fit into the journey and what changed afterwards? Let's start with why most case studies fall short. Let's face it, most of them fall short before they even get started because you've seen them. They start with something like, the client increased the revenue by 150% with our solution. It sounds impressive, but is it really, where's the emotion? Where's the feeling that you get, right? There really isn't much. So the problem is that case studies, treat clients like a footnote instead of the hero. So that it skips over the tension, the struggle, goes straight to the solution. It really doesn't give you any kind of emotional payoff. And as we know, people make decisions based on emotion. So they lack character, they lack drama, and they lack really a full explanation of the transformation. So the fix is shift your mindset from report to story. So think less like a marketer, more like a director creating like a captivating film. Go from a boring B2B brochure to a cliffhanger-packed, binge-worthy case study. Let's bring in the Netflix effect. So what makes Netflix shows so addictive? It doesn't just tell stories. Netflix immerses you in their stories. So here are the storytelling techniques that they use and how you can adapt them to your case study. So we start with relatable characters. Your character isn't a tech company or a fitness program participant. They're a real person and they have struggles that your audience is going to empathize with. So make that and make them the protagonist of the story. And next, we talk about conflict and stakes. If there's no conflict, there's no reason to care. So what problem was your client facing? What was at risk if it wasn't resolved? Think of the high stakes like plummeting sales or a health crisis or something that would be a high risk if things didn't go right. Then we throw in some plot twists. Did something unexpected happen along the way? Maybe the client tried other solutions and failed before finding yours. So we want to get into that. Include those surprising twists. It makes the story more engaging. And then, so cinematic storytelling, which is probably a little over the top of a name for this part, but you want to paint a vivid picture. So when the client or your customer starts to see results, don't just say that they saw the results. So say if it's a nutrition product, it could be after countless late night snacks and failed diets, John began to finally notice in the mirror that there was a change and a glimmer of confidence was shining through, something like that. So you get the emotion in it. And then the next part is really about the emotional payoff. So a transformation clearly isn't just about numbers. We talk about that a lot, but readers, they want to feel the impact. And this is why Netflix gets you. Explain how your client's life has fundamentally changed. The confidence, the freedom, the happiness, if it's something like a physical transformation. I always ask people when I interview them, take me through your day before and after you used my client's product or service. So you want to hit them on, where is it that they had snags that now they no longer have, things that bother them don't no longer bother them, and really get into those details. Real world examples are all over. If you look at like fitness sites, there's a lot of before and afters. So the ones that do it particularly well are like Noom. You've probably heard of them. They go really into the mindset shifts and the emotional breakthroughs that people make. So when you read these, their stories feel relatable. It's like you're rooting for the character. And even when I used to do magazine writing, I wrote a lot of these before and afters. And a particular story that comes to mind, it was for Women's Day, and it was for women who had lost more than 100 pounds and kept it off and how they did it. So if you are thinking that's a story you want to read, you want to know the details. How did they do this? 100 pounds, that's a lot. And so I took them through and I get into these in-depth conversations with the people I was writing about and asking them exactly, what did you do? What happened? What made it really difficult? What happened when you slid back? Because it always happens. And then how did you get back on the wagon? Like get into all of that sort of detail, like if that's the kind of story that you're writing. MyFitnessPal also does a good job of that. So you want to apply a simple 5-step formula, which we call the story arc case study formula, to transform your case studies into some real must-read success stories. Let's start with the setup. We'll call this one, it's a fictitious company, obviously a fictitious person, but how one gym owner cut his membership churn rate in half, because that's a huge problem with gym memberships, is people sign up and then they quit. The setup is we meet the protagonist. So you say that, Mike had poured his heart and soul into his dream of owning a gym. And at first things were great. New members signed up, community was growing, it felt like his hard work was paying off. And then he noticed they started leaving. Okay, so we're setting that whole thing up. Now we have the conflict. So at first it was a few cancellations here and there. No big deal, it was expected. But then it started to snowball. Month after month, more members were dropping off than were signing up. And this was easy to see because the numbers don't lie. So his gym's churn rate was over 40%. His revenue was tanking. So he tried everything, special promotions, referral bonuses, even slashing membership prices, and nothing worked. And the worst part is he had no idea why people were leaving. So then we have number 3, the turning point. So here's where the solution comes in. That's when he decided to stop guessing and start digging. So he sent out exit surveys, chatted with former members, and spotted a pattern. People weren't quitting because of price. They were quitting because they felt invisible. So unlike boutique fitness studios where trainers knew members by name, Mike's gym lacked a personal touch. And in real life, I see this too. People came, they worked out, they left, but there was no real connection. And a lot of them really wanted that. So he revamped his entire approach. So we're still in the solution part, right? So he introduced a member onboarding system with personal check-ins. He created small accountability groups led by trainers. He launched a member of the month spotlight to celebrate members' progress. And so the resolution now is next. So that's a transformation in the results. So the result, within 3 months, John's churn rate dropped from 40% to just 18%. And more importantly, members weren't just sticking around. They were really engaged. Retention skyrocketed, referrals increased, and Mike finally felt like he was running a real fitness community, not just a gym. So the takeaway is if you're struggling with high churn rates, don't assume it was about price. Ask your members what they really need, because chances are it's not a cheaper membership. It's a reason to stay. So that would be how the case study would come together at the end. So to try this out yourself, revamp one of your old case studies using this approach and see the difference that it makes. And feel free to share it with me as well. So let me do a quick wrap up for you. So when you're writing a case study, to make it Netflix bingeable, you want to keep in mind the problem, agitation, solution, but expound on every part of it. So keep in mind that what makes Netflix shows so bingeable is that they have relatable characters, there's a conflict, there's plot twists, there's cinematic storytelling, and then there's an emotional payoff. And look at some of the real life examples of some of the sites that you come across that relate to your business and how they're handling their case studies to see if they meet this criteria or not. Chances are they won't, but they might. And if not, this is where you can jump in with your own. So you have the setup, you meet the protagonist. 2, the conflict, the agitation. 3, the turning point. 4 is the resolution. And then 5 is the takeaway, or it could be a cliffhanger. For more information and more episodes about storytelling techniques like this, DM me or visit me at thecopyworks.com or on LinkedIn, where I'm very active. And as always, please remember to subscribe and leave a review if you really enjoyed this episode, and share it with your friends. I really appreciate it. Thanks so much for listening. We'll see you next week.